What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. I am a #1 best-selling science fiction writer and comic writer, and my Amazon page is in the description below. If you see a book that looks appealing to you, please pick it up and support the channel. Would appreciate that very much. All right, this is The Trial of Gambit. Now, this is before complete collections existed, and it is the size of a complete or epic collection here. And this is post-onslaught. So I read through The Road to Onslaught and Onslaught, and then the couple books after it. I think Onslaught Aftermath comes directly before this. You can get a whole string of X-Men books like for over 100 issues, and it's kind of nice to be able to read that in order. Now, Professor X has gone off and disappeared in this, and Magneto is actually at the head of the X-Men, but he's calling himself Joseph now. He doesn't have his memories of this. And Gambit, over the course of this, you don't know, he's got a past that's really bothering him. And you get some really, really 90s art. I think the coloring in the 90s was just a train wreck, and I really don't enjoy it that much. But the art's all right. Starts off with Magneto giving Rogue a gift to be able to touch her, while this like Shi'ar gladiator guy tells them, there's a big threat to the Shi'ar Empire and they have to go into space. Rogue Squadron, that's a cute callback to Star Wars by Scott Lobdell. Joe Madura is the guy who drew this. Lobdell is the writer. And I like Lobdell's writing for the most part. Pretty good. Here, Beast has a girlfriend who's like human, and he's trying to juggle his relationship and all that. You get some Bishop aspects. I'm not a big fan of the 90s style of like having these like very thick outlined characters kind of stand out over the page. I think it just distracts from the page and distracts from the comic flowing. But that's something that gets done a lot. And they go to the Shi'ar Empire to find out what's going on. Look at this beautiful space station. I think that is a very nice double page spread right there. And it turns out the Phalanx, who are like these like nanobot Borg things, are killing everybody in the Shi'ar Empire to try to take over the universe. And they reference the Phalanx Covenant, which is another X-Men event where they came to Earth to try to like take down the mutants. And those were just basically an offshoot. And this is kind of the main group of them, I guess, is what they say. Pretty cool callbacks. And over this, the X-Men defeat them, and that's that. It's pretty simple. The art's very consistent throughout all this. Pretty good stuff. And here we're coming back, and some people are coming after Joseph. They're trying to find Joseph as our heroes are trying to make it back home. Games, Deceit, and Death. So this is one with Shang-Chi, where this is a different X team, because this is from X-Men, not Uncanny X-Men. And they go in, and there's basically starting this like Hellfire Club sort of thing in Asia. And there's this like elixir of life that is being... and Carlos Pacheco does the art here. And I like Carlos Pacheco's art quite a bit. So very solid art through the course of all this. And some bad guys from the Hellfire Club are basically trying to get that elixir. The X-Men want it because it might help with legacy virus. And it turns out the Kingpin is using this because he wants to have his own eternal life. And he puts them in a little standoff because he captures Cannonball. So cute stuff. These stories flow very nicely. Now here's a little break in the action as we get like this -1 event. Marvel did this where they made these -1 comics. I guess try to get some #1 sales. And each Uncanny X-Men and X-Men has a sort of past early days sort of deal. And we get this like time-traveling Phoenix story, which I wasn't all that interested in. Stan Lee actually narrates and is a character in these, which is pretty funny. It's actually the best part of it is actually the Stan Lee talking in the Marvel Studios. And then we get a Magneto and Professor X in the past, and they're like early days. This is a very cleanly drawn story, and it was okay, but eminently forgettable. All right, now back into Uncanny X-Men, we got Marrow, who is interacting with Spider-Man. This is kind of a crossover with an event called Operation Zero Tolerance, where the government is basically sending out these sleeper sentinels to kill off the mutants. So that whole crossover is not involved in here. Really, this is the only issue that does much with it. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere. If you're just reading this and like don't know about that event, it's like this came out of nowhere and there's no real reference to anything else. But that event is available in hardcover and softcover form. And it's a pretty fun event, pretty decent. All right, it turns out Gambit landed in some weird area that looks like the Savage Land. And there's these bounty hunters after him at this point. And this is the storyline that really encapsulates the rest of the story. And they end up dealing with that for a while and trying to figure out who is in charge of all of this. At this point, a little summary of Zero Tolerance, just kind of so you know what's going on. And then Scott Lobdell brings back this character, the Nanny, from early X-Men. This is from early Chris Claremont's run. And Magneto had this character like to trap them and make them into little children, basically. Very bizarre. But here, Joseph is Magneto and really doesn't know what's going on. He's starting to like get worse. He's starting to like get angry at everything that's going on with Zero Tolerance, and you see that he's like slowly regaining his memories and becoming a problem. They deal with the Nanny, and then 349 we get back to these bounty hunters and all that, and our characters go on the run, trying to escape. In the middle of this, Psylocke and Archangel are dealing with the Operation Zero Tolerance stuff. I don't really love the art for the courses. Is this still Joe Madura? It's Chris Bacalo. Now, I usually like Chris Bacalo's art, at least now, but I think his proportions were a little off. Bacalo, I believe he calls him. I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Proportions are a little off here compared to his modern stuff. His style has really changed a ton over the years. And it ends with 350, and this is like a big, epic, long event. They captured Gambit down in that land. And we have Joe Madura back on the art here. It's a little more consistent, I think, at this point. Chris Bacalo maybe needed some time to mature. And it turns out it's very bizarre. It doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. There's this character called Eric the Red, who's really Magneto in, it was a very bizarre storyline back in the day. I guess he's not Magneto here. I don't really understand what's happening, because he brings in Joseph, who's getting killed here, and they give Gambit this trial, where they say he's bad because he basically helped get the Marauders killed, which again just like doesn't work with the backstory and all that. And Rogue's mad at him over that. It's nonsensical storyline, and then Magneto shows up at the end. And so I don't understand who Eric the Red actually is here, and I don't understand how Magneto showed up when Joseph was getting his butt kicked right there either. It's just kind of a weird ending. But there is a next volume, so I get to find out what happens soon enough. That was a very lame ending to Scott Lobdell's run. However, the beginning of it with all the different arcs there were actually very good up until that point. It's just that last storyline was kind of a stinker. All right. I'll call this like a 7.5 out of 10 overall. It's worth the read. It's not great by any means, but fun enough. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.